Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Mark Johnson, Editorial Board Chair for CDO Magazine and Executive Leader for Strategic Data Management Analytics at Fusion Alliance here in Cincinnati. We're partnering with MIT CDO IQ and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Natalia Connolly, Vice President of Data Science at Infinite Acres. Natalia, welcome to the interview.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so thinking about your data, part of the equation again, I would imagine that you retain a lot of historical data because as you look back over time and you're training your models, that historical data is really important. So have you been collecting data since the beginning of the deployment of your farms?
Since day one, absolutely.
And retaining all that data?
Absolutely. It's absolutely crucial. As you pointed out, we need to go back. We need to see what we did back then and how it affected, what kind of results we got versus now. And all of that historical data is collected and retained and constantly being looked at.
Very nice. Very nice. So there sounds like some great career opportunities in the future for folks that are really focused on data curation.
Yes,
governance, stewardship, quality, timeliness, a number of aspects along with the analytics side that consume that data and drive the industry. What role do you see for predictive analytics in the future of farming?
Yeah, great question. So I do believe that predictive analytics will become increasingly important in the future of farming. Farms will grow in complexity and in scale, and so farmers will have to rely on smart technology, Internet of Things, innovative machine learning and artificial intelligence algorithms to monitor that growth process, to mitigate business risks, and to just grow the best possible food possible. I do believe that vertical farms like ours will increase in numbers greatly, as they have such a great potential to feed the growing world population while being relatively immune to the effects of climate change. So in that sense, I believe they are truly the future. But also, even conventional farms, I do think, will increasingly adopt those practices of precision agriculture to just produce more and better crops. And so AI, machine learning, will help us grow crops with desired traits, such as nutrition or flavor. It should help us with our supply chain issues. It will optimize our supply chain, and I'm sure lead to many other advances that will be absolutely crucial for the future farming. I do believe that the future is bright.
Awesome. And you did mention, I think you alluded to this earlier, that you're able to grow 365 days a year, given the environment. So your ability to produce, to have a productive space, from the land, the yield factor goes way up then in terms of what you can produce, because you can produce it around the calendar, as well as, produce it with a high, or low crop fail statistic associated with that.
That's exactly right. We grow year round. Absolutely.
And you can prove it using data and statistics, right?
100%. Absolutely.
Great. So look into the crystal ball for me. And as we wrap the interview, which has been fascinating, we could go on and on and on here, but look into the crystal ball and tell me 10 years from now, how will this industry be more mainstream? And are there specific subsets of crop production, in other words, types of crops, that you could see increasingly being produced in this fashion versus other types of crops? So what comes to mind is something like corn, for example, which grows very tall vertically, versus lettuce or bell peppers, for example, which grows in a different kind of a model, or even watermelons or cantaloupe. So can you look into the future and tell us where all this is headed?
Well, one thing I learned on this job is that what I thought was absolutely impossible when I started is actually 100% possible now. So 10 years from now, oh my goodness, I do believe that we'll be able to grow all kinds of different crops, even the ones that may seem impossible at this point. Our company is already experimenting with growing strawberries, for example, in vertical farms. And so we're hoping to surprise our consumers very, very soon. And then our R&D team is busy with many other crops that might be possible to grow in this type of environment. And so I do believe more and more crops will be produced through this business model, because I do think it's going to become much more economically feasible, economically profitable as time goes on, as the technology becomes much more mainstream, as we introduce more artificial intelligence techniques, better technology, more robotics. So it's going to become much more cost effective. So that, coupled with this constant effort of our R&D teams with our farmers who are trying to constantly push the limits of what's possible to grow in a vertical farm, I do believe there will be many surprises in 10 years, and vertical farming will become much more mainstream.
Absolutely fascinating, Natalia. This has been a wonderful interview. Thank you so much for joining me today. And agreeing to sit for CDO Magazine to introduce us to the concept of vertical farming and ag tech, and really to illuminate the important role of data and analytics in our ability as a society to navigate through things like pandemics and climate change, et cetera, in a sustainable way. And experience a high quality of food and consistency of food production and consumption and freshness and other aspects. So I'm excited to see what's coming. I've been talking with Natalia Connolly, who is the Vice President of Data Science at Infinite Acres. And I was honored to have an opportunity to tour their facility. If you ever get a chance to tour one of their facilities around the country, I certainly encourage you to do that. You will just be blown away at the work they're doing. Any final comments you want to share with us before we wrap the interview?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited about this opportunity to tell people a little bit more about what we do and the central role that data and analytics and data science play in our endeavors. So thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, for our viewers, thank you so much for tuning into this interview. And we certainly have more fascinating interviews like this at CDO Magazine. So if you're interested in exploring what we have to offer, the insights that are coming from around the world on the role that data and analytics is playing in the success of our world, especially getting through the pandemic, please visit cdomagazine.tech and just search right on the site, and you'll find some great additional interviews. Again, Mark Johnson, Vice President of Fusion Alliance in the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky region, Executive Leader for Strategic Data Management and Analytics at Fusion, and Executive Chair for the CDO Magazine Editorial Board. So we're excited to have you join us today. Thank you so much, and have a great day.